in our previous testimony, you had indicated that you didn't want to, I guess with this point, what are you doing to figure out who failed?
I think that the value, and I understand the balance that the committee has with a focus on making sure that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past, right, and holding those individuals accountable. My responsibility right now, you have constituents that have questions about getting their claims paid. You have constituents who have concerns about restitution that is being collected against them. You have constituents who have concerns about whether or not they're going to qualify for a waiver. My focus is on driving our organization forward, on getting those solutions for our claimants who have those questions, and that is where my energy and my effort is at this time. I am more than happy to, some of the matters that were raised today, to return with some questions and answers, but that is my focus. In order for us, right now we know that there are claimants who, you all have contacted our office with concerns about your claimants who are saying we still have claims that are outstanding. We know that we have questions, considerable questions related to waivers. We are working hand in hand with my AG partners to develop policies, to understand what our options are when it comes to waivers, to understand, we recently reached out to the Department of Labor to talk about our options when it came to collections and restitution. So those are the things that my energies are focused on right now.
So you're not looking for who failed?
I'm not looking to do an autopsy.
Okay. So is there a hold on the deletion of files, emails, so forth, been put on to your staff to not delete any documents, emails, communication during that period?
I understand that there was materials provided to the Auditor General as far as emails related to that time period. There's also an archive responsibility. I don't know that there is a hold on any accounts.
So you've not informed your staff, do not delete any emails, conversations, so forth that happened in that window of time that we lost this $8 billion?
That is not a statement that I have made to staff.
You have not made that statement. So if you're not, again, the longer time goes, memories fail. We lose track of things. And yes, all those things that you said about taking care of my constituents is absolutely true. And it was absolutely true in May of 2020 when I came out to the press and said, Gray is failing and we need a new director, and nobody seemed to care. The media didn't care. The executive didn't seem to care. Didn't really matter. And that's true because, the media it didn't seem to really, I said, they're failing. They're not taking care of our constituents. Part of this pandemic response is the benefits. That is part of the pandemic response. We can't act like it wasn't part of the pandemic response. It was part of the pandemic response. And the state had shut down business, caused people to be unemployed, which then they needed the unemployment. And it just didn't seem to be a priority to take care of this. But my problem is you're saying, well, that's not my focus. Now, we have asked for those people to come in and testify. I don't agree with your interpretation of leadership. I am a leader. I was a battalion chief. I led firefighters into fires. I think I'm very familiar with leadership. When people that relied on me and make sure that they came out of fires and didn't die. And so to suggest that leadership is just saying, well, we're not going to look at people that failed. If I had a company officer that didn't do the job, they were accountable for that because lives were on the line. And I really struggle with this idea. They're saying, well, I'm not going to look at it, but you can't look at it either. Anyone that has deputy director next to their name, when you talk about rank and file, it would be inappropriate, I agree, to start bringing in people in cubicles or people who are sitting at home processing these to come testify. But anybody who's a director knows when they take on the title that they could be held accountable for their decisions. Anyone director, not just you director, directors below you. They take on the title, they know they could be held accountable. If you're not willing to look at this, I have a serious problem with you saying that we won't let our directors come before oversight and be questioned about this. That's fine. You don't want to go after it, but we need to get to the bottom of this.
Let's be clear, though. Saying that I am not requesting or have not put out a statement or filed a form with DTMB asking for a hold on emails doesn't mean that I'm not working with staff through policies and procedures, looking at decision trees. I think I made clear and have articulated a few policies that I've worked on with the Attorney General, and you do that as a consequence of sitting down with staff and saying, what was the policy for this? How was the decision making? So those are conversations that I am having. But am I doing a deep dive into what was said on this date and going through the auditor's report? Not at this time. No. If you want me to respond to the constituent issue where the claimants are saying, I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my tax refund, that's the urgency right now for this month. How do I pause collections so that I can make sure that your constituents don't have their tax refund taken? I am working to develop policies to make sure that I don't have contractors that have fraudulent intent. I am working with the Attorney General to say, how do I identify waivers? That isn't saying I've got blinders on. Every single one of those issues that I'm working on is a direct result of what we have seen over the last 2 years. But am I going line by line to say who said this and let's pull all the emails that you gave the Auditor General? No, because honestly, I don't think that's the best use of my time and isn't going to take care of your claimants.
Right. Well, the problem I have is this idea that I can't deal with bad behavior at the same time of serving the people.
No, that's not what I've said.
Wait, I let you speak.
I'm sorry.
The idea that somehow that law enforcement says, I'm not going to try to prevent crime while I still investigate a murder is ridiculous to me. We can do both. And the longer this goes on, if we don't deal with people who failed and understand that they're accountable for this, then it just allows more lack of accountability. Now, that's great that I appreciate your vision of the future. I don't appreciate when the committee says, then fine, if you don't know, then we want to bring in people who might know and will have those conversations that don't stand in the way of it. Then fine. You don't have time, let the Oversight Committee have those hearings. Chair, I request that we formally request directors in the UIA to be called before the Oversight Committee for testimony on what happened during this window of time.
Your request is duly noted.